World Series is over. We're a little pretty far removed from it. Winter's here. Winter meetings, off-season moves are starting to happen. Teoscar, is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
Teoscar Hernandez, first somewhat big piece to fall. But what we want to get into today is the big three. Judge, DeGrom, Verlander. Obviously, two are super relevant to being in New York, Connecticut. Let's start with, I guess, the third of the three. And Virg, I'm going to pass it to you. Justin Verlander, where's he going?
Detroit. Goes back home to Detroit. Young pitching staff. Do what he did in Houston for that pitching staff. Takes a little bit of a discount off of the 3 at 130 that he wants to get like Scherzer. And he goes and works with Casey Mize, Tariq Skubal, Matt Manning. Like, there are pieces there that make that team really exciting. So put him back at the top of the rotation, let him finish off his career at home.
That might have been like my 10th or 12th guess of what you would have said. I didn't even think that. I forgot he played for Detroit once, but it makes sense in that it follows this trend of like I think DeGrom, we'll get to in a second about Atlanta, like the idea of going home, where you came from, where you started, things like that. So I totally just didn't think Detroit.
So I'm not really the baseball guy when it comes to free agents.
You're a golf guy.
But hear me out. Honestly, I think because he's won already, I actually could see the Detroit thing. But it could just be a play where like he goes somewhere where he wants to live, literally. Like anywhere he wants to go.
Yeah, but
like you see it in baseball or
they can live anywhere. He can K up and have more money than.
Oh no, true. But I'm saying during the season, like you're gonna be at a home place more often.
Like he's choosing a destination.
Like, yeah, I want to go sit
live,
in Florida.
And they happen to have a baseball team there.
Go in California or something. But I don't know. I'd probably say he goes to. Oh, that's tough.
That's like a San Diego pipe dream.
Yeah, I literally think he would go to like a Florida team. Like I think it would be like the Marlins or something. Out of nowhere.
Oh, him and Alcantara.
There you go.
Teaming up. Yeah.
See, what scares me is I was going to say Houston, that they re-signed him, and then it came out, I don't even know who said it, that he wants Scherzer money. And now to me that says, who's going to give him Scherzer money? The guy that gave Max Scherzer the contract. I think he's going to go to the Mets. I think that confirms what most of us already know, that I think DeGrom's moving. So I'm going to go Mets for Verlander, and let's transition that into DeGrom.
Does that domino fall first? Does the Verlander signing with the Mets in your mind happen before DeGrom signs wherever you think DeGrom signs?
I don't know, but I think they're one and the same. Like if Verlander comes, that confirms 100% that DeGrom's gone. If DeGrom leaves, I think that confirms that, hey, we got Verlander money to spend, or Scherzer money to spend on Verlander. So I'm going to go Verlander to the Mets. I'm going to go DeGrom. I started with Atlanta. The team coming out now is Texas. I'm thinking win now team, San Diego. I'm going Padres. They tend to do it with the name. Obviously, Soto was the last one to fall there, and Tatis coming back at some point next year. I'm sure you know better than I do when he's coming back from the suspension.
Like 20 games into the season.
I'm going to go San Diego Padres, and that's going to break my heart. Somehow more than him going to Atlanta, because at least he's from there.
And that's with them planning on signing Soto to an extension. That's a lot of money. That payroll is almost $750 million.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like the trend that we're.
It's kind of shows.
There was Yankees and Dodgers for so long, and the Mets are kind of in there, and now I just think it's going to continue to grow for everybody. So I'm going San Diego.
I am caught between a rock and a hard place of the go home. They have the money because of all the special deals they've been doing and getting guys to sign on for so cheap with Atlanta, but there's something about Texas that just makes it such an attractive landing spot. And literally before we started recording this, they just got announced as being the 2024 All-Star Game host.
Yep.
So sign a 5 to 7 year deal there. You got DeGrom, you got Leiter, you got Rocker, you got all these guys coming up through their system.
Verlander potentially even in the division.
Yeah. Like they're ready to make a jump. They have Acuna in their minor league system. Like Texas is exciting in the next 5 to 7 years, and DeGrom going there, I think, just speeds it up. And they have the money.
Yep.
And new people running their front office.
That's it. I'm with it.
I'd probably go Atlanta. I think I'll go home, probably. Because I also think they're also like, they're not just like out of it, right? Like they're still like a decent contender, I'd say.
Atlanta?
So I think they're in an okay spot. So I think him going home and still having a chance to at least, make a run gives him a decent reason to go.
They have that crazy core. To your point about Detroit, right? Verlander going for them, like he can be at top of that with his rotation or his team in general. Like it's definitely possible. With all three are
both groups have done a lot of winning already. DeGrom's done a decent amount of winning in his time with New York. Atlanta's done that winning. Again, that core that you kind of allude to, that they're kind of in contention. They're very much in contention. The only person that hasn't won with Atlanta is Olsen. Everyone else around that squad has done some type of winning at some level.
Been a part of it, yeah.
All right, last one. You guys are the Yankee fans, so you guys go first. Where's Judge
I'll let
going?
Matt go
You know
first
where
this
I
time.
am. I think he's coming back. I think he loves. I do think he generally he loves playing New York. I would say.
Luckily, New York has 2 teams.
I think that them bringing Rizzo back just further pushes that agenda. To be honest, they're like best buds. Literally.
What type of contract are we talking?
Well, obviously there's like a hope, and then there's one that actually could happen. But from the way like Steinbrenner was talking to him, he was like, yeah, like we're still gonna have money to like make other moves. That's the big thing he was telling him. Like we're not just gonna like sign you and then like stay the same. We're still gonna see what we can do to improve the roster. So, I mean, I think he'll get his. What was he on pace? What was he?
40 million.
Yeah, 40 a year. But I don't know. Maybe it'll be a shorter contract. Obviously, he wants the long one, but I think he'll get like more guaranteed.
It's
if he gets
got
the shorter contract.
it's got to be 7 years no matter what. He's going to be 32 soon.
Yeah.
Probably take him to a 39-year-old year.
Mhm.
I think if it's not Yankees, and there's something to be said about guys living on past their contract and their time in New York. He's the clean Barry Bonds. He goes to San Francisco and dwarfs that ballpark.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I think he's going to the Giants. I think that I don't know if the Yankees are going to offer him or talk to him about this, home team discount, team friendly deal, whatever it is. Like you said, 7 years or 8 years, I think is definite. I think the Giants can will offer him significantly more per year. Maybe they go as high as 42, 45,
I think
whatever
it's
it
a
is.
$500 million deal with the
I
Giants.
think the Giants can do it. They will spend whatever it takes to go get that superstar and bring him in and get back into the conversations of like, hey, can we compete with the Padres we just talked about? The Dodgers are always there. Now you have to become that three-headed monster in the NL West. So that kind of puts baseball to bed. Let's go into football. The elephant in the room, the big fantasy god, is that fitting?
That's me. Yeah.
He's sitting
I'll accept that.
Sitting
That
at
works.
9-1. He talked a lot of smack before the season started that he's this, that, and the other thing. All the research, all the time he puts in. This is his bread and butter, and he's living up to the hype.
Oh,
so we have a 10-man fantasy football league at BVSA, and the bottom, which is our beloved cameraman / producer, Anthony and Zach Rampin, Frank's son. They are in a tie for last place in our league. It looks pretty locked up that they're going to be the bottom two, and the last place punishment gets the joy and pleasure of making a calendar, a photo shoot, wearing nothing but their boxers and probably some Bitcoin socks for Anthony. Striking some poses, fielding some ground balls, taking some swings, maybe a little Heisman photo. So we got 4 weeks left, maybe 5 to determine where that's going to go. Any thoughts? Anything to add before we get into some game picks, maybe some Super Bowl predictions for football? While I pull that up.
Can't wait to see Ant do that photo shoot.
Oh man, that would be something. I think that also fantasy football, right? Obviously, I went in confident because I've been doing it for so long. Football is in terms of me following professional sports, it's definitely my main sport.
It's not golf?
No, not following it. Playing though, I mean, I'm in, right? But for football, it's fantasy has a luck aspect to it, obviously because players get hurt every week. So I was knock on wood, I've been pretty lucky this year, so that helps. That goes into it, but
Getting some PS sack registered
listen,
for your Eagles defense.
all I know is the
Win last
NFL
week,
makes
right?
great calls. That's all
I think
gotta
you
say.
need to quickly discuss that. This is your soapbox. So
Yes, this would be
go ahead.
I got the little violin for me. Long story short, I played Matt in fantasy this week. It came down to the last game, my Commanders / Redskins against the Eagles. He needed 10 points. He got 9.2 from A.J. Brown and the defense. For those of you who watched the game, last play, I'm going to stand up and do a little visual here. Right, last play, or third down, Taylor Heineke drops back, runs around for about 10 yards, takes a kneel.
That's not how that knee
kneel.
looks.
I'm sorry, it was more he was all shriveled up, whatever
Yeah.
it was. He takes some sort of a knee, the play's over, and they throw the flag, personal foul, and somehow it registers as a sack. He gets the extra point, and I've been sitting here all week refreshing the fantasy football page, waiting for a stat correction. I don't think it's coming, so I guess I have to, good game, whatever.
Great game.
Yep, okay, great.
Got some free lunch.
A couple free
Twice.
lunches for you, great. So we can do this two ways. We can go down pick by pick. That would be kind of cut and dry, or we can go a little playoff Super Bowl outlook prediction. We are, were they 10 weeks in? This is week 11.
Mm-hmm.
So 11 weeks in, I'd be happy to. I go a couple directions here, so I'd be happy to kick this off. One, Taylor Heineke, best quarterback in football. He's leading this Washington Commanders team to a playoff spot, and what's really cool about that is that there's a real chance that all 4 teams from the AFC East and all 4 teams from the NFC East make the playoffs, which I know the format's new, hasn't been around for too long, but I'm pretty sure everybody but the Commanders are in a playoff spot right now, which I think is pretty wild. So Taylor Heineke leading us to the promised land. They needed the starter this week, which is big. I think, unfortunately, he's got to keep winning to keep the job. Otherwise, Carson Wentz is going to come back in and mess it all up. But that's going to be my big little bold prediction for the rest of the season, that all 4 teams, AFC East and NFC East, make it to the playoffs. So if you guys want to go maybe a little bold, you want to go Super Bowl prediction, whatever you guys are feeling.
Yeah, we could do. You want to do like Super Bowl matchup? You think's gonna happen?
Go for it.
If I had to go based on right now, I was a big Bills guy, even though I'm a Patriots fan. I think the Bills team, like overall, they just have the best like team in the football in this bowl. Like, but obviously we've seen them like look vulnerable this year, more so than I think last year, honestly. Even though I started hot, but I'd probably have to go. I might actually go. I think I got to go Mahomes again, getting back. I think that team is just like
Nothing stops them.
Yeah, for some reason, them not having a great defense, like obviously their D-line's like decent, but they somehow find a way to win every time. Like he's just going to outscore whoever he plays against. They figured it out without Tyreek. They still look pretty unstoppable on offense. I don't know. I think he's just going to somehow get through it. The Bills have struggled against them. They beat them this year finally, but I don't know. The playoffs are a little different.
I'm going to take the obvious choice in the AFC. Again, as a Patriots fan like Matt, we're looking at a lot of good teams and Matt Jones and Joe Zappi not being it. And I think the Bills end up figuring it out and come out of the AFC East.
That's it.
I feel pretty strongly that even with what I just said about the Chiefs, like at some point, someone's dethroning Mahomes and it's a back and forth the way that like Brady and Manning had.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of Brady, the Bucks sitting at 5-5,
Figuring it out a little bit.
I think they figure it out a little bit. I'm not too confident in the Vikings and the Eagles to like hold out all the way to the end of the season and make the playoff run. Mm-hmm. Where if the Bucks get in as a 4 seed because they're the division winner, like they have an interesting path, but they have Brady at quarterback. They get their pieces healthy. Their defense has done it before. I see them making their way through the playoffs. Let this be Brady's last ride. Mm-hmm. Takes down the Bills, so there's a little like nostalgic feel to it.
Yep.
Then he's done. Signs that 1-day contract with the Patriots and retires.
So everything that guy's been through, that's where I'm going to start. I got like a fun one, and then I got a serious one. We'll go with the serious one first. Exactly what you just said about Brady and his path. I'm looking at it right now. If the season ended today, a lot can happen. His path to the Super Bowl might be a home game against Daniel Jones, followed by an away game against Geno Smith, followed by an away game against Kirk Cousins in primetime.
Yeah.
So
It's not bad.
I mean, he can go 8-9. He'll win that division and then go on that run you talk about. So I'm going to go there, a rematch against Patrick Mahomes, and I think I'm going to go Chiefs over Bucks for that one. The other cool little storyline that I like to see, and it could happen, Tua against Jalen. The battle of former Alabama.
I would love
Dolphins,
to watch that.
Eagles.
That'd be pretty
Did
cool.
not think about that.
Right, Dolphins
Awesome.
2 seed right now. They now have the division. Right, Jalen and that juggernaut Philly team that you always talk about that just lost to Washington.
I'll get to that.
But I'm gonna go with my fun one there. I'm gonna go Miami over Philly, but my serious one, I'm going Kansas City over Tampa.
So off that, I didn't give an NFC, but I actually think the Eagles are going to get there. I'll explain why. So I think the Eagles, what they have for the playoffs that the other teams we're talking about don't have necessarily, Vikings maybe a little bit, is their running game is very good. Now, obviously, that's partially because of Jalen Hurts and what he can do. He like squats 600 or something. He's crazy athlete. But Miles Sanders has been really good. I think they have a really good backfield. Like I think they can just run. And I think their defense is good enough when healthy that they can just stand up to keeping it a 1-score game and then just running the clock out, literally. Like they don't even have to throw necessarily, but they have plenty of options. I mean,
in that case, that makes the 49ers as dangerous as anybody.
So that's the next thing I was going to get to is because I was saying the Vikings, I think, are good, right? Dalvin Cook's a beast. But, yeah, the 49ers are interesting because they're a team similar like the Vikings. I put Garoppolo, he's a little below Kirk, probably, but he's not great. Like, you don't expect him to, like, outplay Mahomes, ever. I think that's all Shanahan, but I think that their running game, obviously, adding McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell's back, he looked pretty good his first game. Their defense is really good. Like, they've always been good. And now they're healthy. So if they stay healthy, I think they got a decent shot at making a run. I just don't know if Garoppolo can get that done if they go down a score and they can't just run the ball. But I think with enough talent now, it's like, dude, you just give McCaffrey the ball and he's going to do something. You have so many playmakers on that team. It's like, so. But I would say for my normal, I'd go Chiefs, Eagles. And I will put the Chiefs over. I think if they get a head start, like they just get ahead, and then Eagles are forced to abandon the run a little bit, and then it gets a little tough.
You usually see where they go after Monday. All jokes aside about Washington, but 3 turnovers, I think, in the first 8 games, then 4 on Monday night. So we'll see if like numbers and like law of averages or whatever is starting to catch up to them, or anything like that. Anthony, any predictions on those DeGrom, Judge, or Verlander, or some football, anything?
I don't know anywhere near as much as you guys and follow this stuff. I'm chasing around 2 kids right now. It's but I did want to ask, going off that, someone else that we didn't mention that's still kind of up in the air, Cashman. Right? Is his deal locked in yet? Have they finalized that? Pretty sure Cashman is up in the air right now, right?
Talking about to return as the GM.
Mm-hmm. Isn't his contract up for negotiation this year?
Could be.
I thought I just saw Steinbrenner saying something about it, that basically, a lot of respect for him, everything he does, kind of plays into what we talk about, that like he's the best mix between understanding analytics but also understanding like old school baseball and what this is. Didn't want to mention where he was going with them, but basically said that they're in negotiations, they're conversating, so nothing locked in yet, but he didn't want to definite either way. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Should have asked him when he was here last week.
Yeah.
So does he have one more year on his deal?
No, I think they're negotiating. I think Boone and Cashman are both up for negotiation.
Which I guess while we're on Cashman, quick shout out to Teddy Cashman, son for he was a Lafayette this year. Pretty cool. It just happened a couple weeks ago.